Hi, I'm Jared Serigné. I'm a videographer based in New Orleans, Louisiana. And most of my work is about the Louisiana region, our culture, our heritage, and our environment. So when the oil spill hit, I knew that I wanted to do something. I couldn't just sit idle. You know, there's a saying that when you have a near-death experience that your life flashes before your eyes. Well, for me, when the oil spill happened, my culture and my way of life flashed before my eyes. And I know a lot of people in this area felt the same. Luckily, I was quickly hired by the National Wildlife Federation to document their response efforts. And within days after the explosion, a team of us were working in Venice, Louisiana to see firsthand what the impacts were. It was definitely stressful times, and we worked hard that entire summer to make sure that the world knew what the disaster was doing to our coast. One of my favorite parts about the National Wildlife Federation job was working with and interviewing people from the affected communities. You know, these were sometimes people that I knew growing up, or sometimes people that I was meeting for the first time, but there was always this connection that I felt to the people who were on camera that, you know, we were from Louisiana, we were from the coast, and this is what we loved, this is what we wanted to protect, and this is what we felt like we might lose. So when the spill's 1-year anniversary was approaching, I knew that I wanted to go back into those communities and go back to those people and see what had become of their lives and what difficulties, if any, that they were facing. My first stop was at Little G's in Belchase, Louisiana, and Little G's is one of my favorite local seafood restaurants, and the owner, Therese Carpel, is my friend Brooke's mother.
We used to be local, now we're like most seafood restaurants, you get it where you can get it from at this point in time.
She told me what it was like trying to get fresh seafood now that a lot of the fishermen had found jobs working on the cleanup.
We'd have local guys live in the neighborhood, go trawling that morning, stop by in the afternoon, midday, just got off the boat, this is what we have, what you're interested in. You don't see that anymore at all. Then you become a regular restaurant just like they have away from the industry that have to go to brokers. And then you just start all over. Your whole game plan of buying fresh produce and giving it out is just absolutely diminished. There's nothing, you just start over. So that's what we did, we started over. So we went to the brokers and bought from the brokers, and we've been doing it ever since.
In the late 70s and early 80s, South Louisiana saw a migration of East Asian immigrants settle here and become hard workers in our local communities. Phong Nguyen is a Vietnamese fisherman who was part of that group. I visited him at his home in Buras, Louisiana, and heard his story.
Since the oil spill, a lot of friends of mine, they go crabbing. They don't catch much crab, they don't make good enough money to go to survive. So I'm not sure, but I think, 50% is because of oil spill, they kill all the baby crab, the egg crab, something like that. So right now they don't have egg female crab, to enough female crab to born a baby. Right now I try to rebuild the boat, to ready to go swimming because the season is open in about a month, something like that.
Darryl Carpenter is a fishing guide in Grand Isle, Louisiana, and he's also the president of the Louisiana Charter Boat Association. In between catching redfish and speckled trout, he told me what it was like moving forward from the spill.
It's obvious that the perception's got to be that things are still bad down here. The only personal reference I have that I can give you is probably 3 months ago I met a couple that was here from Minnesota, and they traveled here for the sole purpose of seeing all the oil. And they were a little upset they couldn't find any. And we're here, we're alive, we're fighting, we're scratching, the fish are here. We're on the water fishing right now, and I mean, it's obvious the fish are here. We've got 3-year-old fish, we've got 1-year-old fish, and we're ready to go catch them.
Most of Louisiana's coast is a maze of marshes and bayous, but we do have a few sandy beaches. One of those is located on Grand Isle, but unfortunately this area is still closed to the public because of ongoing oil cleanup activities. Tamara Augustine, the parks manager, told me what it's been like to see the beach so empty these days.
After our pier was rebuilt after Katrina, after the beach was rebuilt after Katrina and Gustav and reopened, we had a pristine beach all ready for the summer, and then we spent the summer dealing with oil washing ashore and oil cleanup workers. That was very unexpected. We're still not open on the beach. The park is open, but people can't come out here because of the cleanup and the the oil that's left. Less people are likely to come to the park because their kids can't go swimming in the water. They can't play volleyball on the beach, soccer, you know, bird watch, anything on the beach.
Cajun Adventures Hunting and Fishing Lodge in Buras, Louisiana is truly a world-class destination. After a stellar duck hunt with owner Ryan Lambert this past winter, I wanted to catch up with him and see how business was doing.
As you can see, it's pretty empty. Last year, with the oil spill, we were down 94%, and we're on a pace to do really bad again this year, unfortunately. You know, I think the seafood promotion boards did a survey, and 80% of the people in the country still think our fish are tainted, our seafood is tainted. So, what do you think the chances are if someone brings you seafood to your table at a restaurant and you don't want to eat it from here? What are the chances are for them driving across the country to fish with me to eat that fish? Very slim.
Although Ryan's business had been hurt by the spill and he continued to see our wetlands disappearing, he knew that there was something we could do.
And hopefully 80% of the Clean Water Act penalties will go like the President's bipartisan oil spill commission. They indicated that 80% of that should go to the coastal states to implement a restoration project. Well, for the first time in our history, we'll have the money to rebuild Louisiana because the Mississippi River levee, we levied it for flood control and navigation, but when we did so, we cut off all the nutrients, all the land building sediment. And that was in the early 1800s. Now, 180 years later, we've lost already over 1 million acres, 1/3 of our wetlands. And Louisiana has 41% of the nation's wetlands. We've already lost 1/3 of that.
What I learned was that things were anything but back to normal for people who depend on the coast for their livelihoods. No matter how bad they want it to be over, the truth is that there's likely going to be impacts for years to come. The most that they can do is try to put the pieces back together one by one. And as for me, I'll continue telling the stories of the coast and hope in some way that it makes a difference.